So stage 5 is identity versus role confusion, and this is from about 12 to 18 years of age, so teenage years. During late middle school and high school, teenagers are exploring new activities, new social groups, and they're going to wish to solidify their identity even more so than in elementary school. We gain a new sense of independence, and we start to meet a lot more people. We meet those that are older than us, that are younger than us at this point, rather than just being confined to peers of our same age. And we start to realize that there's more to identity than just this cookie cutter sort of identity that we've been living throughout our childhood. Because many people grasp their identity through childhood, through their immediate friend groups and through their households. But when you grow, your exposure to media, your exposure to different social groups, your concept of identity expands. And it's a concept that Erikson believed very much so needed to be addressed. So if teenagers can successfully overcome this conflict, they'll gain a sense of ego. Based on their life experiences in social groups, they will develop their own system of ideals, beliefs, and values. So we mentioned a while ago that ego develops in toddlers. That means just the sense of self. They are aware that they are a sense of self. Ego in this context means that they are solidifying their own individual sense of ideals, beliefs, and values. So they're developing their own ideals. Which is a little bit interesting because Freud believed that the ideals, beliefs, and values developed in the phallic stage when a child was about 3 to 6. And Erikson believes that this sense of ego is not really truly solidified until we're 12 to 18 years old, when we can actually consciously process things, think them through, and make these ideals our own. Which, makes sense to me because we're constantly thinking and reevaluating our ideals when we're presented with new information. So to me, it would definitely make sense that this process carries on throughout our teenage years and honestly, even through our early 20s and 30s. So if they're not able to interact freely with their peers and express their own ideals freely, they may experience role confusion. So they're going to experience unhappiness and they're going to face uncertainty about how they fit into society. So the virtue developed after the successful completion of stage 5 is fidelity. So when they are confident in their own identity, they will be able to accept others for their identity. So fidelity, they will be able to accept others for their own identity and create relationships based off of this reconciliation of differences. So stage 6 is intimacy versus isolation. And this lasts from about 19 years to 40 years of age. So during this stage, young adults are seeking intimacy and to build long-term relationships. And this stage builds on earlier stages. Those who are able to establish successful and meaningful relationships with others have proven that they are well-developed and well-rounded human being. So these relationships result in long-term commitment and care, which Erikson believed was the fundamental goal in terms of intimacy. He believed that long-term commitment was the fundamental goal of all humans, which I'm sure you'll find some people who don't agree. Fear, anxiety, and a weak sense of self can result in an inability to establish secure relationships with others. This may result in loneliness, emotional isolation, and depression. So fear, anxiety, and a weak sense of self, these are all other things that we could have struggled with that Erikson may have believed arose from the previous stages, and they're really going to affect stage 6, intimacy. So, if you end up isolated, you're going to be lonely, and it could result in depression. So intuitively, the virtue acquired upon successful completion of this stage, obviously, is love. Well, we hope that being too busy studying for your MCAT won't result in loneliness, emotional isolation, and depression. It's just going to be temporary, and it's all going to be worth it. So remember that. So Erikson's 7th stage is generativity versus stagnation. And this is middle age, about 40 years to 65 years of age. So during the middle age, human beings will experience a desire to create or nurture individuals or concepts that will continue after them. So they're reaching middle age, and they're starting to, Erikson believed that in this stage, humans start to gain a greater sense of the bigger picture. And they start to care about things that will be here after they are. So those who mentor, give back to their communities, partake in productive activities will feel a sense of what he calls generativity. and as if they are contributing to the bigger picture, as if they're part of a larger whole piece. And he believed that this was a fundamental feeling that humans at this stage experience. So those who fail to contribute during this stage may feel uninvolved in the world, they may feel unproductive, and they could feel unconnected and cut off to future generations. So the virtue acquired in this stage is care. So they will be able to care about others. They're not so focused on themselves anymore, and they're able to direct some of that care to, their children, those in their community. Any way that they can give back to their community is where their care will be developed and focused. So middle age is all about paying it forward for posterity. And then the final stage is stage 8, which is integrity versus despair. And this is about 65 years to death. So older adults in this range look back on their lives and they evaluate what they did with their lives, how they turned out. If we look back at our lives and we feel a sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment, happiness, it establishes a sense of integrity with us, a sense of completion. If we look back on our lives with regret, we're going to experience fear, anxiety, despair, because you only get one life. So we look back and it just results in not a happy outcome. So this is what Erikson believed happens at this age. Integrity allows us to be satisfied with what we did with our lives. And he believed that this was a very important piece that allowed people in this age range to accept death peacefully as a natural end to the things that they've accomplished on Earth. So the virtue that would be achieved by successful completion of this stage is wisdom. So you've had years experience, you know what to expect, and you're peaceful. You have the wisdom, you have acquired the wisdom to make you feel comfortable accepting death as a natural part of the life cycle. So those are the two. And Erikson's theory, unlike a couple of other theories of development, span across the entire life. A lot of theories of development usually end when you get out of the teenage years and that sort of development ends, and then it just lumps adulthood into one thing. But Erikson's theory actually still splits the different life stages even after your 20s. So someone said, is it valid to criticize Erikson's theory by stating that people can develop virtues like care before the age range he suggested? Yeah, I would say it's definitely valid. I think any criticism of theories is definitely valid as long as you have the evidence to back it up. So you can, for example, if you think care could develop before stage 6, I believe it was, if you think that that is something that could develop before stage 6, what would happen is, you could look into specifically what he thought care was, or specifically when he thought care developed. And yeah, it would definitely be a valid criticism. In fact, it's a really good idea to look at any theories you learn about through the lens of criticism. We should always be critical and we should always be skeptical. Yeah, I would definitely review Piaget's theory. I don't have it in this slide just because we're super pressed for time. And this is like such a wide range, such a wide topic to discuss. So I just wanted to touch upon some of the things that I thought were super high yield. But yeah, Piaget, you should definitely know.